So next week is the fabled chapter 900 of One Piece. Can you believe it? It's been 100 chapters since chapter 800. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. Really, it is. Because just like, it feels like it was just yesterday that chapter 800 was here. And I actually remember doing a video on it, talking about how we were on big 800. And now we're here on chapter 900 next week. I'm just like, really? It's already been that many chapters? It's crazy to think about. But anyways, this chapter of One Piece, it's, how do I put it? It's a good chapter, but simple. Very simple. I don't think this video is really going to relatively be that long, just because of how simple the chapter was. Now, the big part to talk about is definitely the stuff with the three different options. What Peril says is the possibilities or the outcomes that could happen for the Big Mom Pirates. Number 1, Big Mom eats the cake, she dies from the poison. Number 2, she eats the cake, she doesn't die from the poison, but it tastes completely awful. And so the entire country will get destroyed because her, fury and her rage will not cease. Or the third option happens, she eats the cake, and poison or no poison doesn't matter. It's good cake and everything is fine. Everything goes back to normal. Now, these are the three options that Peril said that could potentially happen. The third option, obviously, is probably what might happen. Because we know for a fact it's not going to have poison in it. Because, think about the first option. They said that Big Mom would die if it is poison. She succumbs to the poison. As we know, Capone, he didn't put poison in it because Sanji's like, you better not put poison in this. You can attack her after, but don't put poison in it. So, we know the cake is not poison. So, if Big Mom eats it, the first option is not going to happen. So the only two things that could potentially happen is she eats it, she doesn't like it, she continues to go on a rampage, or third, she eats it, she likes it, and she calms down. Those are the only two options. However, this is One Piece at the end of the day. And also, this is Oda. And typically, when we are faced with things that could happen, certain outcomes, usually the unexpected happens. Because I have seen it time and time again, especially after rewatching the anime of One Piece and catching back up again. It's very obvious that Oda, when he says something could potentially happen, like these different options, typically an unexpected outcome happens. So, I feel like there is a fourth option. Instead of just the three, I believe there's a fourth option. Technically, the first option that Peril said is not going to happen. So, technically, there's only three options still, regardless, because the first's not going to happen. Because, yeah. So, anyways, I do think there's another option that Peril didn't say. Maybe we're not really aware of what it might be, but I believe it's something, because for Oda to, put it out there like that, I just feel like there's much more there going on, and Peril doesn't have the full grasp on the situation. He doesn't understand everything that's going on with the cake of what Sanji and Pudding did, so there's probably going to be more to it than just her eating it and calming down, or her eating it and being angry. There's probably going to be a lot more to that. But, pushing that aside for now, though, mainly in this chapter, we get to see everybody's reaction to, Typhon bringing the cake to the island. And it makes a lot of sense why everybody would be scared. And mainly, the first portion of the chapter is a status update showing everybody's reaction to Big Mom about to eat the cake. And everybody's like, it's not going to happen. There's no way the cake is going to be good. After, their top, chefs like Struce and all that, took many days to prep, this cake. There's no way they could have made this cake that's as good as that or even better in just a couple of hours. It's not possible. So they're like, yeah, it's going to taste bad. And so everybody's freaking out. They realize that they're probably all going to die. They're thinking they're all going to die. And you just see them in utter terror. Everybody's just, thinking about the situation. And I especially love the panel with these certain characters, civilians, talking about how the reason why they moved to the country in the first place, like this entire country, is because they wanted the protection of a Yonko. And so they gave up their lifespan to be protected by this Yonko. But in turn, the very person that they need protecting from is the Yonko. And so when you look at it, it's kind of ironic, and it shows the situation that everybody now realizes how dangerous it is to be under Big Mom, and I feel like that's probably going to be a big point after this, arc. Everybody, all the civilians are going to realize that being in Big Mom's territory is not a safe thing at all, because of how she could just change like that. She breaks down, goes crazy, wants something, and she just decimates a town and kills people. I feel like many are just going to run away after this arc because of just Big Mom's rampages, unless Big Mom ties it in, like reels it in, and, you know, calms down some way to where she doesn't go on those rampages anymore. Whatever may happen, though, I feel like that scene in the chapter with the, you know, the civilians talking about that, I feel like that's going to be very important. Just something is telling me, my gut feeling within me is telling me that's going to be extremely important for the survival of Big Mom Pirates and also the territory of Big Mom. So, next thing to get right into, Peril. He's very injured. Apparently, he's been pushing himself a lot, and he actually has kind of succumbed to his injuries, to where he's now basically broken down. He can't really move much because of the injury he got from Pedro, you know, in his hand. And so he's having to rest for a bit. He can't really, you know, maneuver and move around a lot just because of how wounded he is. So he was forcing himself to stay on his feet, which shows the damage that Pedro really did to Peril for the man to stay down and not get back up now because of all of that. So, nice stuff. I'm glad to see that, you know, Pedro's sacrifice still lives on. I still hope that he's not alive. I don't think Oda will pull that card again, especially after what happened in Alabasta. I don't think he'll pull that card again. I do hope Pedro, he did sacrifice himself and he doesn't come back, because it would hold a lot of weight for just what it took to stall a part of Big Mom's crew before they can get out there and out of this place in the first place. So, Judge pops up in this chapter, which is what I expected. If you watched my, you know, last week review, I said that most likely Judge was going to pop up this chapter because it made a lot of sense. With all of Sanji's family coming in, supporting him in the last chapter, it only made sense before we got to chapter 900 that Judge would pop up, probably to do his final farewells to Sanji, and that's kind of what we got in a certain little different way. Basically starts to direct his entire combo towards Luffy. He's like, Straw Hat, answer me. What do you see in this defected man? What do you see in a man that, you know, is willing to risk his life and die for weaklings and all that? That is, you know, no pride of royalty. You know, why do you want him? Why do you care for him? And Luffy's like, okay, thanks and all that. And, you know, when you look at what his father was saying, what Judge was saying to Sanji, obviously he's being very rude. He's being awful. But Luffy accepted and is like, okay, thank you. And he's like, what's with him? He was naming off, you know, all the good things about you. And everybody obviously in Luffy's crew, they knew that Judge was just being awful. But Luffy didn't take it that way. He took it away to where what Judge was saying was just every good part about Sanji. He is someone that is a good chef. He is someone that has emotions. He's someone that cares about people around him. He is someone that can't do everything by himself. And Luffy is very aware of that. He's even said this a long time ago, after the time skip, all that. He's like, he realizes he can't do everything. He realizes that he has to rely on other people to run his crew. He needs someone to be able to cook Sanji. He needs someone to be able to navigate because of Nami. He needs a musician because he can't do music. So, I mean, when you see these different things throughout the series of One Piece, Luffy is very aware that you can't do everything by yourself. And yes, it is a shonen cliche, but it's a very good cliche. And it's a very good cliche in One Piece. You know, Oda does it properly. And in this case, when he was saying that stuff, obviously Luffy would catch it as, you know, obviously he can't do everything, obviously he has problems, obviously he has weaknesses. It's like me, myself. Luffy has his own weaknesses, and he's very aware of this. So, that scene, I like that. I just like how that fits in with Luffy's character, and he was basically saying that, you know, I accept him for who he is. He's, you know, a family member that I accept for everything that is wrong and good with him. So, Judge, he didn't really get the answer he wanted, and I feel like at the end of the day, he's probably not going to be able to truly comprehend that because, you know, he just doesn't view Sanji as a proper person. He doesn't want to view him as a son just because he isn't a proper tool or a weapon to fight on the battlefield. So, that's about it. I mean, besides that, the only little miscellaneous stuff to talk about is that, Stussy and, Big News, Morgans, he's up missing. Those two are missing. So, CP0 and Big News Man, the Bird Boy, they're both gone. So, yeah. That means news is going to get out. That means everybody's going to find out about what happened to the Big Mom Pirates, about what the Straw Hats did, what Capone did. So, going to be bounty updates. Oh, yes, definitely bounty updates. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a bounty update before Wano or after Wano. That I don't know. That's debatable. But it's very clear now after, you know, Stussy and Morgan's getting out and all that in this chapter that there will definitely be a bounty update. The question is, how high will Luffy's bounty jump? We'll see. Oh, yeah, and one last thing. How do you all feel about the Fishman Pirates popping up at the end? That's, So we have some backup for Luffy's crew. So I have a good feeling that Jinbei's old crew is probably going to join the Straw Hat Alliance. Something is telling me that that's probably what's going to happen, especially with them being there helping out Jinbei because, you know, they care for their captain or their old captain. That's what I get from that scene, and so it's a very sweet scene. I'm looking forward to seeing how they hold up against Big Mom's crew, helping, you know, Luffy get out of there. And, you know, we're just going to have to wait and see whatever, you know, happens in the next chapter. But whatever it may be, the next chapter will be chapter 900, so it's probably going to be pretty freaking epic, because usually when it comes to 900, 800, you know, previous chapters, usually they're fantastic. Oda does a lot of good things in those chapters, and we're also getting a color cover page in the next chapter, so I'm expecting something high quality. But that's about it when it comes to this week's chapter of One Piece. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you all feel about this week's chapter? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below. And if you like my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.